Hello, 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 and happy holiday. Would you believe we've already been through Christmas? We have experienced some of Kwanzaa even now. And guess what? We've also been experiencing Hanukkah and Ramadan. Those are some of the things that we'll be talking about on tonight's show. Welcome again to Bonga Dada Bonga. Dashanaba King and Teresa Kemp serve as show commentators from time to time on the Bonga Dada Bonga show. We will bring on other show hosts and co hosts, as well as a very exciting roster of guests. In studio tonight, we have an expert health and wellness professional by the name of Rakaya Murphy. Hopefully, she'll be in the studio in a moment. But I want you to stay tuned for what Rakaya is going to be sharing with you tonight. I'd like to give a shout out to Nana, who is one of our commentators here on Bonga Dada Bonga. Nana, we love you. We appreciate you. We bless you. And Nana, we thank God for you. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Hello also to Ghana Moore and Aisha tuning in from Ghana, West Africa. Hello also to Aisha, who's in Ghana. We have Sissy, Ernestine, and Principal Malungu from Namibia. Thank you for tuning in to Queen Mother Speaks. We're so glad that you're here. So, what is Bonga Dada Bonga? Bonga Dada Bonga is a new platform for women's voices. It's a site, a point, or a space that kind of like strives to amplify the voices of women. We amplify the voices of survivors, and that's people who, for the most part, have been historically silenced. And you do know that we have some of them, people who've been historically silenced, isn't it? Bonga Dada Bonga joins a very growing list of service organizations and supporters of women causes, and that's in countries across North America, Latin America, the Pacific Rim, and also Africa. Ah, you will hear phenomenal, extraordinary stories, even heartbreaking stories from some of the most courageous women and girls that I have ever met, and that in some cases that you too will ever meet. Each and every one of them is a superhero, and at Bonga Dada Bonga, we are very honored and proud to share their stories with you. Why is it that Bonga Dada Bonga is important? To dispel the myths. We have to dispel the myths about who we are, the misconceptions about what a woman's role is, what women in fact can do, and what women around the globe really are already doing. Bonga Dada Bonga is an excellent opportunity to generate visibility, familiarity, understanding, comprehension, realization, and support for women's aspirations, of which there are many, very many. And Bonga Dada Bonga also promotes awareness raising about women in many cultures from a diversity of cultures, Namibia, South America, even Ukraine, Israel, Kenya, America, and other countries. Thank you for tuning in to Bonga Dada Bonga, a new platform for women's voices every Thursday, live at 11 a.m. New York time, 7 p.m. East Africa time. So now, how is it that this platform actually works? Well, the way it works is that we bring in various women in leadership roles and influencers, and they will be moderating on the show as host and or co-host. They will then be bringing in guests who they will be interviewing about news events. They will address current affairs. They'll address current trends. The co-hosts who will be on the show are from a very colorful spectrum of journalists, campaign managers. They could be activists, political scientists, oh, wow, women organizers, publicists, even educators. And they will do an analysis on the matter at hand. We already know, don't we, that women's participation in politics helps advance gender equality, and that affects both the range of policy issues that get considered and the types of solutions that are even proposed. Mm? Research indicates that whether a legislator is male or female has a very, very, very distinct impact on their policies and priorities. There's also strong evidence that as more women are elected to office, there's a corollary increase, an increase in policy making. You'll notice an increase in policy making when you have women who are in those elected offices. And when women are in control, they very much reflect the priorities of family, women, ethnic, and racial minorities. So, yes, 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 we do want more women. Um, Part of what our celebration is about tonight is a holiday celebration. It's that time of year when we celebrate international holidays. And today we're going to hear about four of them. I was expecting again Rakaya to be in the studio. I don't know what happened, but as they say, the show must go on. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is observed from December 26th through January 1st, which means we are right now in Kwanzaa. Actually, we were in day 4. It's a 7-day celebration of African roots. It is observed by people of all faiths, not just one, but all faiths, all backgrounds, since it's not tied to any particular religion. Yeah, isn't that a great thing? Instead, the African American and the Pan African holiday is anchored by 7 principles known as the Nguzo Saba. Known as the Nguzo Saba. Kwanzaa offers a new dialogue on Black culture about our positive contributions to the world and not just the negative stigma of race. Kwanzaa, the word, is a Kiswahili word, and it actually means first fruits. The word Kwanzaa comes from the Swahili phrase matunda ya Kwanzaa, or first fruits, which is referring to the agricultural harvest festival that are found throughout Africa. The holiday originated to reaffirm and restore African heritage and culture. Ah, born out of the Black Power movement of the 1960s and founded in the year 1966 in the United States by activist and educator Dr. Maulana Karenga. He is the founder of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was formed by Dr. Maulanga as a way to empower people to rediscover their African heritage and concretize the expression of the Ngozi Saba. The beauty of Kwanzaa is it doesn't start Black history from slavery. Ha! It actually starts us as inventors of civilizations, people who first broke from the animal world, spoke the first human truths, wrote the first basic text of human knowledge. Kwanzaa is steeped in tradition. I believe that Rakaya has now entered the studio. Let's see if we can get her in. See if we can add her to the stream.
Greetings.
Okay, my dear. So we've already started talking about Kwanzaa. Um, you can start talking about the concepts and the symbols. Do you see that in your notes?
Let me get my notes. But
Okay, well, that's okay. Let me continue. The concepts and symbols of Kwanzaa derive from traditions and practices found throughout Africa and the African diaspora. The language used is Kiswahili, which is a common tongue in the Great Lakes region of East Africa, and it is also one of the most widely spoken languages in East Africa. The primary symbols of Kwanzaa. Are you ready, Rakaya, with the symbols of Kwanzaa?
The primary symbols of Kwanzaa is the mkeka, which is the foundation. With everything that you do, it needs to be a foundation that you build upon. The second symbol is the kikombe cha umoja, the unity cup. It's a cup that we pass around to each other during the Kwanzaa celebration to signify unity, togetherness, and love. The third symbol is the muhindi. The muhindi is a corn that represents each child within the family and one extra to signify the future, the ones to come. Masao. Masao is the fruits, the harvesting of the fruits of our labor.
Mm-hmm.
The zawadi is the gift. The kanara is the holding thing. Kanara, the holder that holds the candles, the seven candles of the Nguzu Saba. Nguzu Saba means seven. One black signifies the color our people. Three red, the blood that we shed in the struggle to determine ourselves and to seek our freedom. The
Mm-hmm.
three green is represents the land. Without the land, we're nothing. And so we need the land in order to survive.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Okay. Um, have I left out anything else?
You did very well with the symbols. I think you've mentioned everything in terms of the symbols. If you want to talk about the principles.
The principles of Kwanzaa, or Dr. Marlena Ron Karenga in 1966, looked at the diaspora throughout the world globally and looked at what emanated within each black family or culture, and he discovered these seven principles that permeates and that is alive in the Caribbean, Central America, South America, Africa, anywhere, London, anywhere that you go, these principles can be found. And the principles are umoja. Umoja means unity.
Unity.
Unity. The second principle is kuji chagalia. Kuji chagalia. Kuji
Kuji
chagalia.
Chagalia.
Kuji chagalia means that we would determine ourselves, we would define ourselves, and we are the ones that would decide how it's going to be in our culture. Kuji chagalia. The third one is ujima. Ujima means collective work and responsibility. Without us coming together and working as a unit, as one, towards the achieve desired goals, we're nothing. We have to unite. Ujama. Ujama is, or ujama
No,
is,
it's Ujama.
it,
Anytime you see two A's on the end, you elongate
okay, it
inside of
means,
Kiswahili.
ujama means
Yeah.
cooperative economics. And this is the pivotal principle for us, because until we make a decision, like during the Gandhi Revolution in India, when Gandhi cut off the British by not no longer buying their textiles and buying anything British, and decided to make their own fabric and make their own clothes, they
Mm-hmm.
cut them off at the economic base. And until we collectively decide that we're no longer doing business with anyone that does not treat us as a human being,
Mm-hmm.
and we're no longer doing business with anyone that comes into our community to destroy our community, that's when we will regain some semblance of power. Economics, cooperative economics, until we learn to do business with each other and be dependent upon each other, we will be at a loss. And that's why Ujama is critical and pivotal to the whole fundamental seven principles of the Nguzu Saba. That is the big piece. The next principle is Nia, purpose.
Nia, purpose.
Nia, without purpose, without us asking ourselves, why are we doing this? What is it going to what are we going to achieve from this? That's what I usually used to ask my children, and even in my classroom. What are you, what do you expect to get out of this by
Mhm.
doing this? Purpose. Always having a purpose, a goal, an objective to achieve. The next principle, which is the sixth principle, is kuumba. Kuumba,
Kuumba.
creativity. We are creative people. We're imaginative people. We are people that would take a piece of paper and able to make something out of nothing.
Mhm.
We are creative. Our If we allow our imagination to flow, uh, infinite intelligence, infinite imagination is part of us. And the last and important principle as well is imani. That's the
Imani.
seventh principle of the Nguzu Saba. And Imani means faith. And
Faith.
we can do nothing or be nothing without believing and knowing that our Creator is the master planner and the supreme being. Faith, Imani.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that with us. We know that Kwanzaa's been around since 1966. It is the youngest of the international holidays, but it is starting to be celebrated more and more. Thank you for that, Rakaya. Okay, if there's any questions to our listening audience, I want to say hello to some of the Rakaya. Please come back on screen, and if you need to go away, then just take go turn your camera off when you have to leave versus a blank space. Huh? Thank you. But anyway, very well. So we are right now inside of Kwanzaa, and as this is day 4 of Kwanzaa, we're dealing with the cooperative economics. And as she has explained, it's important that we support each other in our businesses and what we do. Even church is a business, when you have a skill, whether you are a facilitator or trainer, a teacher, whether you're selling a product, computers or phones or paper or pens or clothing, soaps, whatever it is, we cooperative economics is about us supporting each other. And we won't spill the beans right now, but later into the year, we'll be doing some more exciting things. We won't tell you about it right now, but we have some great plans on the board inside of cooperative economics. Now, I'd like to take a moment. Thank you for that, Rakaya. I'd like to take a moment and talk to you about Christmas. Christmas is an annual festival commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ. It is observed primarily on December 25th as a religious and cultural celebration among billions of people around the world. Notice that Kwanzaa is a cultural celebration, and notice that Christmas is a religious and cultural celebration. Christmas is about how Jesus came to give us love, how Jesus came to give us hope and joy. We have people around the world who's been observing this tradition, and those who've been observing it have been observing it in a religious fashion as well as in a secular nature. Okay, it's worldwide, and Kwanzaa is also, I'm sorry, Christmas is also very much commercialized. Some of the other international holidays also are commercialized, but Christmas is like really, really commercialized. So we have to remember to keep Jesus in Christmas. Christmas has symbolisms that are shared by many ancient customs, the same as Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa has some ancient customs as well. The birth of Jesus represents the birth of light in the world, the battle between darkness and light, good and evil. It signifies rebirth, renewal, and conquering death. And you will find out when we start talking about Ramadan that it too has a lot to do with signifying rebirth and renewal. Again, Christians celebrate Christmas Day as the anniversary of the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, who is a spiritual leader and a teacher, a popular teacher inside of the Christian religion. Popular customs for Christmas include exchanging gifts, decorating Christmas trees, attending church, sharing meals with family and friends, and of course, waiting for the person called Santa Claus to arrive. Christmas Day has been a federal holiday in the United States since 1870. Okay, it wasn't until the 19th century that Americans really began to embrace Christmas. Okay, Americans, in fact, went ahead and took their time and reinvented what Christmas was all about. They changed it from a carnival type holiday. In the beginning, Christmas was very much like Mardi Gras. Okay, but the Christians changed it from that carnival type holiday into a family centered day of peace and nostalgia. So, also around this time, there's an author by the name of Charles Dickens who wrote a story called A Christmas Carol. And that message was so strong, it just struck a chord in humankind because it dealt with goodwill and dealt with charity. And the Christians like that. So they incorporated that aspect into Christmas as well. Families also who normally discipline their children during the 1800s, Christians were very happy that they could have a time that they could give their children gifts and not feel guilty about it. So that's another reason for how the gifts came into it. They didn't want it to appear that they were trying to spoil their children. What about Santa Claus? Where on earth did that come from? Can you hear me, Rakaya?
Yes,
Pardon?
yes, I can.
Okay. Because I
I'm here.
can't, I don't know whether or not you can hear me. We didn't get to do the sound check. But the legend of Santa Claus can be traced back to a monk, and that monk was named Saint Nicholas. He was born in Turkey around AD 280. Now, what Saint Nicholas did, is he was a very wealthy man. And as the story goes, he would go into the countryside and he would give away all of his inherited wealth. And he would give his inherited wealth to poor people and sick people. And so Saint Nicholas became known as a charitable person. So in America, around the late 18th century, when St. Nicholas had passed, the Dutch people would gather to honor St. Nicholas. And so what happened with that is Saint Nicholas, which became Center Center Claus. And in English, it became Santa Claus. So that's where Santa Claus actually draws its name from the abbreviation of Center Claus, which is a Dutch word, where they would honor the death of St. Nicholas, who was a man, as we've just stated, who was very generous in giving his riches over to those who were less fortunate than himself. Okay. Other customs inside of Christmas includes decorating the Christmas tree, sending holiday gifts and cards out to people. But make no mistake about it, Jesus is the reason for the season. It is very true that the holiday has become commercialized, but the whole point, the whole story really is still about Jesus who came to the world to offer, as we stated earlier, love, peace. Okay, just a few facts about Christmas and we'll move on. Each year, about 25 to 30 million Christmas trees are sold in the United States alone. There's about 15,000 Christmas tree farmers in the United States. And the trees usually grow from 4 to 15 years before the trees are actually sold. Okay. Um, what else do I want to say to us about Christmas? The poinsettia plants. They are named after Joel Poinsett. He was an American minister to Mexico. So Minister Poinsett is the one who brought the red and green poinsettia plant from Mexico to America. Then the poinsettia plant became adopted also as a Christmas plant. What about Rudolph? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. Well, where did that name come from? You won't believe. But here is the genesis, if you will, of Rudolph. He was the product of a gentleman by the name of Robert May. He imagined Rudolph in 1939. He wrote a poem about the reindeer, and he really did that as a way to promote Christmas and to promote people coming into the Montgomery Ward stores. Montgomery Ward department stores. I remember those stores when I was a child. Okay. And so he wrote that poem about Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it too became adopted and adapted into what we call as some of the symbols, if you will, of Christmas. So we're going to move on to the next one, which is on Hanukkah. Now, I was expecting a stale. We did a tape of Estelle, and I will say to you that I wasn't able to get that tape up again tonight. So we'll be working over it over the next few days. Um, but what I want to tell you about Hanukkah is that Hanukkah is a Hebrew word which means dedication. So this holiday, Hanukkah, commemorates the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days and is called the Jewish Festival of Lights that typically takes place between late November and late December. And Jews celebrate Hanukkah by lighting the menorah. What is the menorah? It is, in fact, a candle holder,
Older.
just like the Kinara is a candle holder in Kwanzaa. The menorah is the candle holder in the Jewish tradition for Hanukkah. Okay, and so what people do is they light the candle, they play games, they eat special foods. Okay, so be clear that Hanukkah is not some kind of Jewish Christmas. No, 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 no. Okay, again, it commemorates the rededication of the second temple of Jerusalem, where Jews reclaimed the temple. Now, what happened is when they reclaimed that temple, there was only enough oil for one candle, but somehow that oil lasted for 7, 8 days. It was just enough for one day, but somehow that oil lasted for 8 days. And that is known as the miracle of light. So there is a miracle that took place inside of Hanukkah, which is the miracle of light. The fact that they only had enough oil for one, but it lasted for 8 days. There's also a miracle that happened in Christianity, that happened in Christmas, and that is the birth of Christ was called a miracle at that time. Okay, very well. So we're going to keep moving on, and we're going to talk about another very exciting holiday and a very, how can I say, a very sincere holiday that's known as Ramadan. Ramadan is really about a holy month of worship, a study of the Quran, prayer, and fasting. Again, what is Ramadan? It's a holy month of worship, study of the Quran, prayers, and fasting. That's what Ramadan is. And it occurs during the month in which Muslims believe the Quran to be revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. It is a joyous celebration. The actual date changes, though, because they operate from a lunar calendar and not the solar calendar that we use in America. But fasting is one of the five pillars of Islam, and healthy adults are expected to observe the fast. The fast helps the believers to purify their faith, to purify their hearts, to renew their faith, to seek forgiveness, and to increase self discipline. It's also time to focus on what's most important and positive in their life. Okay, so for the 30 days of Ramadan, nothing is consumed during the daytime. They call it the fast. But in the evening, when they do eat, they break the fast and they will eat something um, after certain hours during the fast. Okay. The Ramadan also encourage people, not just the Muslims, but all people, to abstain from anger, to show compassion. Yes. Fasting can be a way to increase awareness of Allah and be more aware of the plight of those who are poor and suffering. And that's what a lot of people do around the Ramadan season. They go out and help those who are less fortunate than themselves. Okay. That's what it's all about. So now we're going to end our discussion right now on the various holidays, the international holidays. But what I would like to say is that there's a few things that are similar inside of these holidays that we've been pointing out to you as we've gone along. So without further ado, we're not going to go over back to um, Rakaya. Rakaya is here tonight with a special message for us. In fact, she's in part 4 of her health and wellness segment that she's been presenting to us. And she does it with such passion. She does it with such love, but she also does it in such a way that she lets you know what you really need to do. I love the way she comes across. She don't bite her tongue. She let you know what is needed. Rokaya was born in the Republic of Panama, a country that she says she absolutely loves. She attended the University of Detroit in Michigan. Then she completed her bachelor's at Rhode Island College, Providence, Rhode Island. At some point, she relocated to Atlanta, Georgia, and began her master's at the University of Michigan. Coach says, and I quote, I consider myself a lifelong student. I am a lifestyle, holistic health and wellness coach, which permeates throughout my entire being. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that that's true. That's the Rakaya I know. She performs acupressure massages that releases toxins from the meridians in the body. She coaches clients on the 30-day detoxification system. She also help show you how to retard disease. She works with you to eradicate various types of disease throughout your body by taking a plant-based approach to healing. And that's part of what she's been teaching on with us. Okay, she's an educator. She's taught Spanish over 35 years. Plus, she is indeed a family person. She has 7 children, 5 daughters, 2 sons, and now, 40 plus years later, she has seven grandchildren. Coach Rakaya, welcome. Welcome
Greetings,
to the
greetings, Dr. Dashanava, and thank you for that illustrious introduction. I almost didn't recognize that you were talking about me.
well,
Peace and blessings
sometimes
to
we don't know.
everyone.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we
Peace.
don't know. But I like to take the time to say who is amongst us. And Coach Rakaya is a coach, and she is an expert among us. And I am delighted. I am happy. I am honored to have her on the show to teach you this wisdom. Coach Rakaya.
And I thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Abadigani, everybody. Abadigani. Today is
Ujima. That's the response
Ujama.
for today.
Cooperative economics is a call and response. One thing that Dr. Nava failed to mention, I don't know if she did or not, is that this is about the children. Kwanzaa was created to give the children a future, uh, knowledge of their culture, knowledge of their ancestors, to honor and to obey and respect the ancestors, and to remember that without your past, you're nothing. And so Kwanzaa, within the Kwanzaa, the children are the ones that are illuminated and the ones that have to memorize something, learn something, do do a pan,
A
a
play?
tree, a
Hmm.
family tree,
Hmm.
and it's teaching them to know who and whose they are and where they come from. So
All
Kwanzaa is
right.
the children are the center of everything, and the elders, because the elders, of course, are the ones that's passing on the baton. Anyway,
All right.
today today I want to talk to you about how we should bring in the 2023 as it pertains to our 6 month plant based um, nutritional approach to healing, self healing. And we've discussed that extensively. And my prayers are that those who have a chronic disease and those who are suffering from some malady or experiencing pain, that they realize that their body is toxic, and that without doing something naturally to remove those toxic buildups and germs or mucus and inflammation in the body, if you don't help to get rid of it, then all you're doing is topographical. All you're doing is adding on or taking the medication is not really addressing the condition, if you
Uh-huh.
understand what I'm talking about. But today I want us to focus on preparing for the burning bowl. And the burning bowl is a ceremony that is performed um, metaphysically from unity, where you write down all the negative things that you want to get rid of, or all the things that have caused you pain, and you write it down. And on the 31st, before midnight of the January 1st, there's a bowl, or you create a little smoke situation outside, where you walk outside and you burn that piece of paper in which you wrote everything down, or renunciation, cleansing, renewal. That is what you're hoping for. You're starting afresh. And so everything that you have placed in that bowl and burned should not ever come up again or be talked about.
All right.
You have sent it back to nowhere, to whence it came from. Secondly, your vision board or vision boards. Your vision board is a piece of a board where you create your dreams, your visions, and your aspirations. And so, based upon what that is, you go in, you get magazines, and you cut out the pictures that represent such idea, and you place them on the board. And you cut out words that you want to project for for the 2023, things that you want to, routines that you want to establish. Like on one of mine, I have defender. Um, then I have exercise. That is my focus for 2023.
Hmm.
Business, develop my business plan and write a book on my vision board. You can create two or three little vision boards. In other words, you might want to separate your business from your family, from your daily habits or goals. So there's various ways of doing your vision board. but I will urge you to do one because um, you will be surprised to to see that at the end of the following at the end of the year how much you have how much you've been able to manifest, and you will see progress.
Hmm.
Okay, so we move on to we talked about that. Kuma. Write down three things that you would like to accomplish for 2023. Write down three things that you would like to accomplish in 2023. Okay? Make sure you write that down. Um, establish a daily routine. I don't like a New Year resolution. Just sit down and develop a routine. I'm going to exercise 3 times a week. I'm going to eat 80% raw. I'm going to eat 20% cooked. Write down things that's going to affect you personally as well as affect your family. I'm going to cook more at home than eating out. I'm going to reduce or eliminate the sodium and the sugar intake in my family. We will only consume sugar 2 times a year. So be specific in that which you are trying to achieve as it pertains to self healing and
Uh-huh.
self restoration, okay? Renewal, rejuvenation, and transformation. And change begins with us, and peace begins within us. And so you have to start with yourself. You have to heal yourself before you can attempt to heal anyone else. You have to work on self, right?
Yes.
And make sure that you follow those three established routines to the letter of the law. Do not deviate. Okay. Number six, be courageous, be strong. Okay. And always try to be positive as much as positive as possible. I was talking to my niece, and she was telling me that she does an audio journal, and that she has found it to be very um, productive in terms of resolving some of her past traumas and emotional challenges. So I'm going to try it. She says that
Mm.
she turns on the tape and just have a conversation, and then a couple of weeks later she plays it back, and
Wait, what happened a couple of weeks later?
she plays it back just to listen to what was said,
She went back to hear what
to
she had to
hear.
say.
She went back to
Okay.
hear it and to see where she's been. Has it been growth? Is she still beleaguering on this one issue? What
Uh,
does she need to tweak? Um, she said it's very effective. Um, learn to pause, breathe, and exhale. Learn to pause, breathe, and exhale. Learn to slow your system down. We're moving too fast. And sometimes you need to just sit down and just bring it down. Breathe. Calm yourself. Stress is the number one killer in America. Include fasting as one of your repertoire. Fasting at least once a week helps. Even if you fast from midnight, Dr. Barbara Lewis King, God bless her soul, used to have us fast from, remember that Dashanava, from
yep.
midnight to 12 noon,
Hmm.
a little mini fast, and then you can increase it to a full day. We're gonna have several people discuss fasting because a lot of us have a little hang up about fasting, and fasting
Hmm.
is very spiritual, highly elevated, and things that you're stuck on, things that is disturbing you after your fast. And if you make your intentions be known to God, what is it that you're fasting for? It's often revealed. Fasting is mystical. in nature. Um, and that's it. That's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, is there anything that you want to tell us about wellness, sustainability, and self care? That was the fourth
I
part.
want us. I want us to understand that the reason for being plant based is that some of the foods that are being made these days are being injected with hormones and um, antibiotics and so forth and so on. And so the more closer we stick to earth food, natural foods, which we are melanated people. And so some things our body just don't break down. And so, in order to achieve optimal health, we need to eat as natural as possible. The more natural, the better,
Hmm.
in
Okay.
order to sustain ourselves and be able to live for as long as we should. And
Uh-huh.
a lot of people that are plant based, they live to be centenarians,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
hundred plus.
Hmm. One of the questions I want to ask in reference to plant based eating, I am a plant based eater. Every now and then, I will have flesh. Flesh for me being fish. Not every week, and certainly not at every meal. What is your feeling on that, on eating fish?
Um, my feeling is if you're getting the fish fresh from the ocean, it's fine. Um, although even the ocean these days are contaminated. They have contaminated it with uranium from the ships, uh, um, the big ships that they've created, the oil that's being spilled in the ocean, and so
Hmm.
just use everything with discretion. Discretion. If you want to eat fish, eat fish, but
Hmm.
don't beat up on yourself. But understand
Hmm.
that the ultimate goal is plant based, fruits and vegetables, nuts, legumes.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. It is interesting. I think I mentioned this before that September, October, I had guests in house, and my guest was is a vegan eater, and they eat the only flesh that they eat is fish. So while they were here, I respected their eating habits, and together, right, we would buy veggies. Well, I'm a veggie girl, so I didn't have a problem with that. But the benefit that I got while she was here is I learned how to make some vegan recipes. I learned how to make some vegan food. So as a result of that, I got excited. I mean, she taught me how to make curry corn. She taught me how to make eggplant with cheese. All right. She taught me how to make a different kind of salad other than just the garden, if you will, salad. She gave me another way to eat potatoes. Now, potatoes, as we well know, is a carb, but she showed me how I could add just a little of that on my plate. And she went on to explain that on the overall plate, half of it should be the fruits and vegetables. Half. And yeah, and then another half, well, then a half should just be vegetables. Then the other
Yeah,
one fourth of it could be the fruit, and then the other um, one fourth of it would be whatever protein you're choosing to have, whether no whichever fruit, I'm sorry, whichever nut that you're choosing to get your, however you're getting your protein. So at
yeah.
the bottom, half of it is all. Uh huh.
Most of your meal should be
Hmm.
vegetables,
Yeah.
and one third starch. and that starts
Mhm.
being a healthy starch, not white rice, brown rice, quinoa, couscous, barley. You can fix a barley salad that it's really delicious. You can do a tabbouleh made from barley and parsley, tomatoes, lemon juice, and apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and olive oil. A really simple salad, but it's jam packed with the parsley, which reduces your high blood pressure. And the reason why we're saying do not consume sodium and sugar, sodium is causing a lot of high blood pressure.
Mhm.
Sodium is part of the problem why some of us suffer from high blood pressure. And the sugar affects your central nervous system. Sugar being worse than crack cocaine,
Yeah. Where are we
particularly
getting some of the what are some of the items that have sodium that we should avoid?
processed foods. Processed
Okay.
foods of any kind, any processed food, canned foods, processed the Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat has like 100 and something thousand milligrams of sodium. And I was working with my diabetes class, trying to teach them how to eat right. Until one day when I looked at the label and saw the amount of sodium,
Mhm.
I couldn't make that a recipe. And I was teaching them how to do sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, where they could just eat it with a salad. On
Mhm.
they could make it, take the leaf of the romaine lettuce and just put the sloppy Joe on there, and that's a sandwich. Okay, but
Okay.
the Beyond Meat is full of sodium. And then my daughter brought that to my attention. She said, Umi, look at half of that stuff that you bought. Even though it's saying organic, even though it's saying natural, it is hidden. Hidden beyond the recipe is not so hidden. You just have to read it.
Mhm.
Is the sodium, the amount of sodium and the amount of sugar in the products. And 600,000 products in America out of the whatever number they have has sugar or salt to it.
Mhm.
There's a problem. The
Wow.
baby food has sugar and salt in it. And why would you start out a baby with putting sugar and salt in the sweet
Mhm.
peas and sugar and salt in the cereal?
Oh.
Why would you start a baby, a 6 month old baby, whenever they start giving them food with sugar and salt? We have a problem. And then we wonder why we have autism, ADD, ABD, HDD, hyper, all the kids, and they're giving them Ritalin. No, they don't need Ritalin. What they need is a change in diet. What they
Mhm.
need is not to
Okay.
eat any more sugar or salt, and they
Mhm.
need more natural foods.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
used to tell a couple of my parents
So
on the side,
what are some of the methods that people can use to break away now? I know that part of it is a made up mind that you're choosing to do this. But what are some of the other ways to help
um,
people get away from the
if
sugar, salt,
if
starch complex?
if you do not have a pre-existing condition, then you can do it on a slow, gradual process. You can begin by saying, I'm no longer going to eat pork. Then
Mhm.
a couple of months later, you eliminate the beef. You can do a slow process. However, if you have a pre existing condition or chronic disease, cancer, or you're suffering, we have no time. We have to
Mhm.
act fast.
Mhm.
My program, my platform is for those who have been suffering undu- unnecessarily. really. All it needs or all it takes is action on their part to make a change,
hmm
to create a change, and to heal themselves.
Yeah, and I was saying, other than you fixing your mind to do that, I was wondering if there's any other way that you could think of to help people to
Uh,
start eating better.
you can
But we do
pray.
know that once you got it in your mind, that's major
That's
in
major.
terms of
But
you in terms of you
sometimes
making a change.
stuff is so ingrained in us is that it's a process. It's a process. So if you fall back, don't beat up on
hmm
yourself. It's a process. And so you slowly, through prayer, meditation, uh, exercise, getting with a group of like-minded people,
Yes.
people that are on the same path,
hmm
also helps.
I think that's
Communication.
the answer. I think that's one of the huge answers, Coach, is being around like-minded people.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think that accounts for a
That's
lot.
critical because
Whether
if
they're
you
your friends or your sweethearts, your husbands, family, like-minded. Because again, I had a
like-minded,
person in the house who is vegan and only eats fish. And the only thing we had in this house for those 10 weeks, it's just that. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, all right, and
and
fish. We
and
went
so
we went to Navarsha, where it's
and so
all
you had
types
to
of
fall
fish,
in line.
and got a lot of fresh fish. Okay. And then she was showing me how to blacken the fish. I do know how to fry already. I knew how to bake already, but she showed me another way of grilling with fish. So we just had a good time. And during those 10 weeks, eating with her the way she eats, I really haven't bought any meat into the house since then. Okay.
And
So I'm very excited.
why don't we talk about how do you feel? That's critical. How do you feel now?
I definitely feel lighter, number one. Number two, I know that I have lost weight. And my biggest determiner of letting me know that I've lost weight is that I wear waist beads, and those waist beads have fallen down. So I have to add more knots on the beads for them to stay up. But I mean, and I wasn't even in the shower. They just came off. just just came down. So that's, like I said, one of the big things letting me know that I had lost weight. But what I like about it the most is that I like that I'm loving on myself. So for me, that feels so good, you know, because we work out in the world, and we work with a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And so I just feel good that I'm loving on me. I'm loving that. By the way, we're almost at the close of the hour. Coach, is there something you want to say? We have 2 minutes. You take one, and I'll take one.
Okay, I wanna emphasize that being with like-minded folks help, and that if you're married, then it helps more if everyone in the household could come together and agree that this is what we're going to do as a family for 2023. I pray that we
Okay.
all realize that we need to make a change, and I pray that we all um, achieve our goals in 2023: prosperity, abundance, joy, love, and longevity, and
All right.
inner contentment.
Mhm.
Inner contentment.
All right. You can reach Coach Rakayo on 1-346-244-7887. Once again, you can reach out and talk to Rakaya. She will be having some classes coming up that you can get in. But like you say, if you have any pre-existing condition, then you want to talk to her. 1-346-244-7887. 244-7887. This is Bonga Dada Bonga signing out for tonight. We want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season. And as we are wishing you a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, what I want to say is that next week, what we'll be doing on the show is we will be talking about resolutions. We'll also be honoring our ancestors, and we'll be talking about how you can actually celebrate Kwanzaa year long. Once again, this is Bonga Dada Bonga. Tune in every Thursday live at 7 p.m. East Africa time, 11 a.m. New York time. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. Just enjoy it to the best of your ability. Okay, get to be with family, get to be with friends.